Hi, my name is Alison Randall, and I'm a part-time work-from-home employee. So I don't have the luxury of having a supervisor looking over my shoulder while I'm doing my work. I say luxury because I'm somewhat of a people pleaser. I have no problem working under the watchful eye of a boss. But since I'm home, I have to motivate myself. And to be honest, sometimes that's hard to do. There are some days when I'd rather just sit on the couch and watch the Great British Baking Show rather than open my computer and grade one more essay. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who experiences resistance when it comes to doing things that we know we should be doing. That thing might be your work, or a household chore, or yard work, or it could be something that you really want to do, a dream you have, or a sparkling idea that you want to try. But for some reason, you just can't get yourself to do it. That feeling of resistance to either something we have to do or we want to do is probably pretty universal. According to author Steven Pressfield, resistance is fear. It could be that we're afraid of failing or afraid of success. Afraid of starting the thing and never finishing it, afraid of missing out on this thing over here while we're doing this thing over here. There could be any number of reasons why we're afraid. But whatever the reason for that fear, it often tempts us to inaction. Now, by saying inaction, I don't mean doing nothing, although that can be the case too. But this inaction can come in the form of procrastination, diversion, distraction, whatever it takes for resistance to get us not to do that thing. We might end up doing something that seems really urgent at the moment, like, you know how those red notifications on your phone make you feel like you have to look at them right now, or you're going to miss out on what people are saying. Whatever the form of inaction it tempts us to take, resistance has won if we're not working on the thing we should be doing. And that matters. Because that resistance, that fear, is a signal. Fear says, pay attention to this. This is important. This needs to be done. Pressfield claims that the things that are the hardest for us to do are the things we should be doing the most. Those are the things that will help us live our best lives. The good news is, once you start paying attention to what resistance is telling you not to do, you know the things you should be doing. So recognizing that what you're experiencing is resistance is the first step to overcoming it, to resisting it. The next step is to take opposite action. That's a term that comes from dialectical behavior therapy, and it's a technique that has you examine the urge you're feeling as a result of that resistance. For example, you might be feeling lethargic. Ask yourself if giving in to that urge, if sitting on the couch and binging Netflix will make you feel any better. If you honestly feel like it would, then by all means do that, because that probably means that you're stressed and you need to rest. So take a minute to breathe, meditate, do whatever it takes to regroup. Chances are, though, that Netflix binge will not make you feel better. In fact, Laura Schenk, who uses DBT techniques in her counseling practice, says that giving in to lethargy usually prolongs that feeling and makes it worse. The ideal thing to do then is to examine the urge and do the opposite thing of what that urge wants you to do. If it's tempting you to inaction, in whatever form, then take action instead. I know, easier said than done, and Schenk admits this too, but she says that even small actions against that urge have an energizing effect. So I'm here today to offer a few small actions that you can take. 5 tips for tricking yourself into action when resistance is tempting you into inaction. First, I've got my visual aids here. Set a time limit. If your brain is telling you that it doesn't want to do something, negotiate with it. Say, it's only 5 minutes. Just do 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then you can be done. or an hour. So this hourglass is the big gun that I bring in whenever I need a visual reminder to stay on task. I can flip it over and then race the sands as I'm de-junking my closet or whatever that dreaded chore is. It somehow becomes a game instead. But even if you tell yourself that it's just for 10 minutes, I'm betting that once you get going, you'll be able to stretch that amount of time into whatever it takes to get that thing done. Second, reward yourself. Now, you know what will be your best reward, but here's an idea. Louisa Perkins, who wrote the article that inspired this presentation, does what she calls CH3, chore, chapter, chocolate. So she'll do a chore, and then she'll read a chapter in a book, and she'll have a piece of chocolate. The upside to this method is that you are getting your chores done while also catching up on your reading. So Perkins reads about 85 books a year using this method. She's also a prolific freelance writer and the author of a cookbook. Third, partner up. I'm using walkie-talkies for the visual aid for this one because it takes two people to make them work, to make a connection between these walkie-talkies. In like manner, when you partner up with someone to accomplish a goal, you're drawing on the power of connection. Let me give you an example. At the beginning of this year, my sister and I decided to undertake an autoimmune protocol diet. Both of us have arthritis in varying degrees, and we thought that this diet would help us pinpoint foods that might be contributing to the inflammation in our bodies. So on this diet, you give up pretty much everything except for meats and fish, and most vegetables and most fruits. So that means no grains, dairy, sweeteners, nuts, seeds, you get the idea. The list goes on. Trust me, it was not easy. And I don't think I could have done it without my sister, my partner. We had to rely on our walkie-talkies, meaning our cell phones, to keep us in touch. And we did that almost daily at the beginning of this diet. We would text and say, how's it going? What's been hard? What's been easy? We would share recipes. And in that way, we were able to get through the 8 weeks of this diet before we started reintroducing foods again, different foods. So the bad news is we weren't able to pin down any foods that contributed to arthritis. The good news, we learned a lot, including the fact that we can do hard things, especially when we have a partner. So enlisting a partner is a powerful way to resist resistance. Fourth, pair chores. I brought my little AirPods as a visual reminder of that because this is my favorite way of pairing chores. Now I know that much has been said about multitasking. Your brain can't really do two things at once. That's why I pair a mindless chore with one that requires concentration. So, for example, I can catch up on a podcast that people have been talking about while I'm getting some exercise. Or I can listen to a great audiobook while I'm doing my least favorite chore, which is cleaning the fridge. That audiobook makes the time go faster. Pretty soon I'm done with that chore and I've, again, caught up on my reading. You can also use the time when your hands are busy to think through something. So if you have a lesson you're preparing or a paper you're writing, you can use that time while your hands are busy to think through that thing. And then when you have a chance to sit down at the computer, the words, the ideas will flow because you've already thought through it. So the final and fifth tip is envision the end. One story for this one. I was 8 years old the first time I saw the ocean. My family had gone down to California for spring break, and so we were just going to do Disneyland. We weren't planning on doing the beach because it was a little chilly, but we decided to stop by one day. And I took off my shoes, rolled up my pants, and kind of stepped out into the water. I had never seen waves before. And I remember watching that wave go out, and I followed it. And it went out, and I followed it. And it went out, and I followed it. And then I turned around to see what my family was doing, and they were standing back there laughing at me. I didn't know why until a big wave crashed onto me in the back. And I had to spend the rest of the day with wet clothes because I was not looking up. I was not watching where I was going. Now, resistance would have you do the same thing. It would have you looking down here at all the distractions and the diversions instead of looking up to the end result of that thing that you want to do. This envision the end is one of my husband's favorite tricks for resisting resistance. He's a runner, but he doesn't like to run. So he pushes through the resistance that he feels before starting a run by envisioning the end result. He envisions how he's going to feel once he gets going. And he also is a numbers guy. He likes to set personal bests and little records with the distance he's gone. And so envisioning that end helps him to push through and get going on his run. So if you have a dream, say there's a novel you want to write, or you want to start painting again, or there's a YouTube channel you've got an idea for. You have this dream, well, keep dreaming it. Envision it so strongly that resistance will melt away in the face of that desire. Let's recap those 5 tips. Set a timer, reward yourself, partner up, pair chores, and envision the end. And remember, when we pay attention to resistance, we learn the things that are essential for us to be doing. Let's not keep resistance from the things that will help us live our best lives. Resisting resistance is not futile, and it will be worth it in the end. Thank you.